Alrighty.
All right, hello everyone. You're here with the judges, ready to discuss the selection of models that we've prepared. Over to you, champions.
Alright, let's start off. So we're looking at some commended entries to start with. We've got this, I think this is from War Machine.
Yes.
I think a good example of probably someone who, no assumptions made, but looks like someone who's good at gaming painting, maybe starting some display painting. Non-metallics are nice, but the model overall in hand is quite flat. Even if things are smooth, gold's smooth, colors are smooth, they're also very linear.
Exactly. I think in terms of technique, they're clearly a very proficient painter.
Yep.
But it's lacking in terms of color variations and chromatic modulation, because everything, like in the black parts, everything goes from the same dark black into the lighter gray in a very linear way. There's no shifts in color anywhere. Same thing on the gold, right? Everything goes from the same dark brown into the bright yellows up here, with barely any color change shifts, right? That would be there if these things are reflecting the environment.
You've got this green water, but no green in anything on the model, right? We've got metallic surfaces which are going to reflect the environment. Very easy to start putting some of those greens into your metallic reflections, to start placing the model in the world that you've created.
Exactly, and also there's the interpretation of planes, right? You have these very clearly V, like an inverted V shape panels in the armor, but the light, impacts both sides equally. And this is the kind of place where you could play a little bit more with the plane structure of the miniature.
It's like you've got the brushwork down, you know how to blend colors with one another, but now you need to work on understanding how light is going to interact with the model in the scenario that you're creating. So it doesn't look like you've really picked the direction that the light is coming from that's going to impact the painting across the board.
Exactly, but otherwise...
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, it's just like, as a friend said here, like it's very precisely done, it's very well blended, like everything's there, but this piece is just lacking something that would push it a little bit forward, so, yeah.
You always want to give us a reason to move them up and give us a reason to love it. This has good paint work.
Yeah, it's very well done, but it would be a shame not to mention this model, for example, in particular, because it was like one of the models that we all
enjoy,
get in
right?
our hand and enjoy looking at, but it was like not something that is ready for bronze, I would say, yet.
Especially in a year like this year where the level was so high.
Very
so,
high.
The very high goals push the silvers a bit,
I think this is a person whose like actual brush skills could get them a higher medal.
For sure.
It's the decisions on the model that they've made.
100% agreed. I think the main issue here is, again, the linearity of all the blends and the lack of chromatic variations in
I'm just wondering if the same painter could achieve better results using some display model, because that's a clearly that's a gaming model, and it's painted in a gaming style, I would say. So applying the same techniques and applying the same precision to a display model, it could be very different in in, let's say, judging perspective.
Yeah.
Say.
But on the other hand, what he did quite well, what they did quite well, was matching the bright green from the base with the inner parts of the green, the glow, to tie together the model to the base. Right?
It has good color composition. I think it is just there's atmosphere, and then there's some understanding of light that you want to get.
Exactly.
That'll bring all of this,
some of the
elevate it so much.
Yeah, some of the armor panels are also very flat. So some more consistency in terms of the interpretation. For example, if on this helmet there's this bright spot in here, hold on, I'm on, up here, right? Then all these parts of the black armor would also be catching a lot of light. So there's a little bit of inconsistency in terms of how the volumes are interpreted. But overall, technically very nice, but it lacks a bit of variation.
Perfect.
Okay. Let's talk about doing something technical that we don't
completely
get.
Different model from the one that we saw.
A display model rather than a gaming model. Another commended.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at it, and to be honest, it just draws my attention because the thing that is happening on the armor, the reflections that are they're like. It really speaks to me. I saw what the creator want to show us, right? That the armor is really reflective, and in my opinion, like, could be done a little bit differently. Could be done a little bit more like.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. So in general, right, like the way how the things are painted on the armor, in my opinion, are really readable.
Yep.
If I can say that, like. I don't need the environment on the armor to be sharper because it's far in the distance. So
one of the things that was talked about was there's another model that got a gold in this competition that was trying to do something really similar, reflect an environment in the armor. And in some ways, this is easier to read the environment than that one.
And then the armor itself, it's like not the easiest one to make interesting.
It's very
right?
difficult shapes on the armor on this model as well.
Yeah. Another thing thanks, Trent. Another thing is that, for example, the cape, which is textured, is only textured on the highlights, but not in the shadows. The shadows are left completely flat, and this is a very common, well, not really mistake, but it's a common thing that people who are still learning do. Like
you run out of steam, right?
You run out of steam, and all the texture is concentrated only on the planes of light, but not the planes of shadow. But the planes of shadow should also be textured in obviously a more desaturated, darker colors. But there's they should be worked just as much. Also on the feathers on the helmet, they're all painted exactly the same way.
Yep.
On both wings, and also whether they're at the top or at the bottom. So some more theatrical light where perhaps light is impacting the top part of the wings as overall shapes, not individually but as overall shapes of the wings of the helmet could make it for a more striking.
Especially when it's a model where you've got like pretty extreme light in the NMM. And I think that they're very monochromatic, right? Like it's one white and grey shade for every feather, having like some browns, some other kind of tonality to the feathers to make them look a little bit more natural. Could have gone a long way.
Yeah, because they look a bit flat in hand. I think in camera, the armor looks very, very nice on camera. In hand, it looks a bit more flat.
I think that worth mentioning is like the face. It's really deep in the helmet, and it's well done, to be honest. Like it's not the easiest thing to paint a face like this, and the painter did it really well. Yeah, so it's really worth mentioning. It's not the easiest model. It is not painted like extremely good. So it maybe it needs some things that will be pushed a little bit further, but at the same time it's really worth to.
Yeah, and a good example of like trying to take a risk on trying something.
Yeah.
And even if it hasn't 100% paid off, it's like setting you on a good path. Just keep plugging away.
Yeah,
at it,
it's done, right?
Yeah.
You get
and you understand what they're trying to do.
Yes, you get the courage to try that on that model. You get some lessons, right? And you will improve that same thing maybe on the next thing,
Yeah.
right?
And then there's a consistent theme that we have been discussing today, which is on leaving parts completely unpainted.
Yep.
I mean, base coated with no work at all, and that's, for example, what we can see on the hairs in there. And of course, in a plane of shadow, you will work those parts less, but leaving them not painted, completely untouched, is to the detriment of the overall result as well. But yeah, overall, very,
Great
very beautiful piece.
And well done. So let's talk about, speaking of risk taking and presentation.
Hold on, let's
zoom out a little.
Oops.
So really, really cool presentation of this model.
This is indeed a model wrapped in flowers, basically. Very rustic feel to it. The plinth itself is wrapped with paper, and there's this what do you call it?
Twine.
Yeah,
we had like Albert show us the list of the points that are useful for judges when judging the piece, and like of course you have to you have to try to achieve as many points as possible. But for example, this one is perfectly hitting the
Originality
creative
and
originality,
presentation,
right? So,
everything.
Yeah, it's not only about painting, but it's
Your
also
idea.
about your idea and making it into a piece. For example, like this one, it might be lacking a little bit of skill with painting, but the idea is there, and we are happy to
reward
reward that,
the creativity. Exactly. But as Piotr just said, this hit the originality criteria very strongly. But yeah, the paint job itself of the model was perhaps not quite as good as some of the bronzes, and that's why it stayed in commended.
Yep. I think, exactly. This is like if this person keeps having these kinds of great ideas and great ways of presenting their figures in a competition, and then just tightens up that paintwork, they'll be doing very, very well
exactly.
in the competitions to come.
The painting quality is something that you could improve over hours, right?
Yep.
And the creativity is not something that
You can teach quite as
yes,
easily.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
yes. So
Exactly.
it just needs time to improve the
brushwork,
painting quality, and then again you can be better than anyone else in the category because of the great idea.
Yep.
100%.
And then in the same vein, we got this big bopper. Another great
It's a
presentation and a great idea. This is a very heavy piece. Presented really interesting way, and great composition with the triangular shapes. And it's just again that the brushwork and the interpretation of the volumes could be tightened up, and this person will be rolling.
Yeah, it's something like you can clearly see that from a distance, right? It's something that
lot of presence.
draws your attention,
Yeah.
draws your eyes, especially the triangular shapes.
Yep.
Yeah, but unfortunately, like when you're looking up close, it's lacking some of the technique, for example,
Yep.
right? It's another piece that shows us the great idea, right?
Especially the harshness of the shadows in the
Yes,
anatomy
exactly.
are quite overdefined and overdone, and it's
Yeah. The color of the skin itself is bright enough to stand out from the whole piece. So like it could be even like way more flat.
These-
Of course, like not flat at like 100% flat, but not that strong, right?
These like harsh lines in some of the muscles is something that's really common with painters as they're learning, especially in skin, where they paint like small changes in volumes on skin with these really harsh drops into shadow that makes the skin look quite unnatural. And one of those things is you got to learn, like painting skin, you have to be much more subtle with some of your transitions to shadow, especially in like these ab muscles.
Yeah.
But again, like, when we're talking about improving, it's a great composition, it's a great idea, it's a great presentation. And then once you start tightening up on the understandings of volumes, understandings of how the light will interact across the forms, you'll be doing much better, getting much higher. But still a great piece.
Yep.
All right, those were our commendeds we're going to talk about. Now we've got a few bronzes. Where shall we start? Let's start here, I think. Actually, same kind of vein, right? Paintwork problems, but great idea, great modeling.
Exactly. Here we basically rewarded the modeling work, the storytelling as well, like with this dark elder, I guess, about to board the bike.
Jet bike, yeah.
I wish it was in here we didn't have models split into different categories, right? But I think it could get something if it would be a diorama category.
Yep.
It tells a great story, right?
Yep.
The conversion is really nice.
Very
Exactly.
atmospheric, and
the
sense of place is great.
exactly. It's very well engineered as well, so that the jet bike feels like it's floating.
We love to see it.
And I think especially at these smaller scales, definition is of utmost importance because readability depends on identifying all the different shapes and stuff, and perhaps some of the armor plates could have been rendered a bit more.
Yep.
But overall, it's a beautiful piece.
Yeah, it's a great piece. It's a pleasure to look at this. Right?
Yeah, it has a lot of presence on the shelf of the competition.
Also, something that is maybe not that obvious, but the fact that the plinth is slanted like so, as opposed to having it flat, gives this sense of depth, as though this wall was continuing far, far down. So and also the fact that the plinth kind of blends into the black at the bottom of the wall, and then only from here upwards, it
implies a sense of scale.
Exactly, it implies the sense that this character is like.
This wall might be like a kilometer tall.
Exactly, they are very, very high up in the sky, kind of thing. And this is very, very well achieved with the way the piece has been composed. So yeah, perhaps in terms of painting itself, it was not the best of the bronze pieces, but overall the modeling work was rewarded.
As is the case with the last two pieces, right? If you've got like a really good idea, do the cool idea.
Yeah,
it'll always serve you well,
idea.
And it makes people. It always grabs attention on the shelf.
Yeah.
This will be people's favorite pieces.
And also the texture work is very, very subtle. I don't know whether it's visible on camera, but let's see if I can focus this. Maybe not. Too close. Anyway, but there's all these very, very small chips, chippings in the armor, and also the metal work is weathered very, very nicely. So
sorry to interrupt.
No,
you.
no.
I mean. You can now think that we are talking only advantages of this work and why it's only bronze, and the quality of the whole competition was like
incredibly
really high.
high.
So this might look and sound as a really great work, but comparing to the other ones, like it's still missing some painting quality, right? Because like the story is there, the modeling side of the work is there, but we have to choose something that
especially on some more value contrast would have been better especially for the character. Maybe the jet bike not so much, but some of these knee pads, for example, you could push more the Terminator shadow, the bright spots on the very final highlights. The hair is a bit flat as well. So yeah, the cylindrical shape of the tubular, what's it called? The shape of the arms could have been reinforced a little bit more with the way how the highlights are implemented. But overall, fantastic work. So
good
congrats to the winner.
What should we do? McDonald's?
All right.
McDonald's.
Let's do McDonald's.
All right, we have McDino's.
Another
here.
very cool idea. Great presentation.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think this is just like another piece that we already talked about. That it's a great idea, right? And sometimes there are works that are not perfectly painted, right? But the idea is so strong that it will be a shame to not reward it, right? This is another great example. Like the painter incorporated like the bust, right? The thing about the idea of painting him as a
McDonald's worker.
Then add things on top of that, right?
Yep.
It's not only the bust painted as a McDonald's worker. It's like everything around it, right?
Yep. Nice references to all our painting groups around Australia. And when you look at the painting on this, like there is no reason this couldn't have gone higher, to be honest, because the paintwork in the face of the Triceratops is actually quite strong. Like there's nice color variety, there's a nice interpretation of the volume across the front of his face. But then sort of once you leave the face, the paintwork gets quite a bit weaker.
Especially on the decor, right? On the McDonald's sign, it feels like
very flat.
Cardboard, kind of.
You'd be unsurprised to learn that this was just colored cardboard almost.
Exactly.
That they didn't even paint.
That's exactly what I mean. There's literally one base coat only in the entire scenery.
It could have been that bit better if they had weathered this sign, maybe. Basically, tried to make all of this. If you gave the model the same treatment they gave to the Triceratops' face, it could have done better.
Not even the same. I mean, sometimes you can think like, oh yeah, it's further away from the focal point. It can be just like flat. No, like it has to give you the feeling that you spent some time. You know, it doesn't have to be the same quality as the focal point as the main part of the piece, but at the same time, it needs to be finished, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes, for example, like this letter M, it feels unfinished. It just feels like it was painted.
I think the same amount of like
Especially
thought and care across the model.
Some weathering on the M and exactly on all around here would have felt a bit more.
Yeah, but in general, like you know, it was
It's cool. It's fun. We like it.
Yeah, someone just like sculpted the meal, right?
Yep.
And it's super cool.
Yeah. A great piece.
Yeah, even the even the plinth has some
McDonald's.
Some McDonald's
sign.
What should we do? Gaming? Or shall we do?
Let's maybe do this.
This one. This one is completely different. So yeah, we had very different.
Bit of a discussion.
Yeah, and a different, let's say, problem about this this piece. It's really great. I think it's
really tightly composed.
Yeah, really well done. Really delicate. I would say the piece is like really small. You can compare to a nail, right?
Yeah.
So. But yeah, it's really well done. We can say a lot good things about this piece, but in general,
it felt like the story itself was a bit
Yes.
lacking. So that there's a bird next to a pond or something, but there's it feels like some narrative.
Yeah, could have added a bit of a sense of drama to elevate it that bit more.
For example, like even like a little part of crocodile alligator like swimming in
Exactly.
in the water, right?
That would give some
Yes,
tension to the scene,
yes.
as though the next thing that's going to happen is the alligator about to eat the bird or something like that.
Yeah.
Whereas it's in terms of storytelling, it was lacking a little bit, and it seems like storytelling was the value proposition of this piece, because the miniature itself is so tiny, right? That it's more a narrative piece, but at the same time it feels like something's missing in terms of this narrative.
Yeah, like I don't know. Maybe we are not getting something like the author of the work will just come and see like, oh, that was my idea, this and this, right?
The thing is,
might be a little bit more clear for us then, but like when we are looking at it without any context, without we don't know what the painter want to
Smash
to
us over
show
the face
us,
with
right?
your ideas, you know.
This kind of piece should be understandable like without any word, and right now it's not.
Yep.
Exactly.
Even the execution is like really
Exactly.
great.
In terms of execution, it's fantastic. It's absolutely fabulous.
You definitely get a sense of the environment. Like nothing really looks out of place. It's just one of those ones where it's bronze because it didn't do more.
Yes.
Great. Shall we do gaming or shall we do the things that made us cry? How about we
whichever.
talk about this last? We'll
Okay.
do this. Great little gaming model on a just blue tacked onto the plinth. I kind of assume this person has painted this model and they use it in their games. Really nicely done. Like the face in particular is really strong.
Yes.
Like the color variety in the face is excellent. The focal point's excellent.
Yeah,
It's good stuff.
the understanding of colors, I think, on this piece is like really great.
Yep.
I mean, the cold light from the bottom, like the focal point on the face, the yellowish green highlights on the top of the muscles. It's really great, but at the same time,
I think it's lacking a little bit of texture. You have all these loincloth and straps and things that are the perfect opportunity to show that, to add information to the piece instead of having the same finish pretty much everywhere.
It's I think a really good example of like someone whose skill and understanding of painting is like ready for them to do something that's a dedicated display piece. Like if you want to take your painting that bit further, get a model that isn't on a gaming base, so you don't have the excuse that you can never use it in a game. So you'll treat it like a different type of project. Try and make more of a scene and,
Yeah, but the tonal so every time we'll be speaking about the linearity of the blends, right? In this case, it's the complete opposite. This is really fantastically done, with the more warmer cheeks, for example, on the face, and then you have like the more bluish part in the abs. So there's this, chromatic variation all throughout the piece, which makes it a lot more interesting than just having nice blends, but without any.
This is actually
any
like
tones.
If you had this type of painter do that scene of the gaming model that was on the base with the green river, that would be like a perfect synergy, right? Like more of a display base, more of a composition, more of a scene, but this kind of painting with this amount of information and variety.
But I think like if we are not 100% sure, but if it's a gaming piece, right, and if it's straight from some army, I think it's always good to see this kind of models in the competition.
Absolutely.
Because it's fun to display your models. You see maybe you are not aware of that, but maybe you are a painter that's good enough to get a bronze or even a silver with a gaming model, right? So
this is the selfish display painter in me. I want to see this person do a display model.
Don't feel like just try entering a competition and see for yourself. Maybe your army is like a gold medal worth.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we talk about
Next up.
this guy. Very striking.
Very striking. So the colors are fantastic. They're very original. The plinth also has a very cool twisted shape, I guess.
Gives it a
which
nice feel
is,
in your hand.
Very, very original.
Yeah, the lime green is not the easiest color to paint.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a few issues on the technical aspect. On the one hand, you have the heavily textured cloth part in here, but it feels out of scale. Like the dots are way too large, and the contrast is also there's too much noise. So when you steeple, it's good to sometimes glaze in between the steepling layers so that you unify those layers a little bit more, and it will still feel steepled, but not as harsh. So you need to reduce the noise a little bit and make the dots a lot smaller so that they feel in scale with the piece. Then. Yeah, Alexi?
Yeah, well, another example on her face with what we were talking about before, with harsh lines in skin that are a bit too unsubtle. The bags under her eyes
they're
are just too extreme.
No. Just like this. So
sorry.
People can see what we are talking about. Yeah. The lines below the eyes, right?
Bit too strong. They're make her look
sleepy.
Sleepy. So even though that area will drop into shadow, it's rare that on a person you see in real life will have such a dark line under their eyes. So it's still really nicely painted. It's just like that harshness of the shadow lines in an area that is in light is just a bit too extreme. And then we got the hair.
Yes, that's
which is a little bit old school style. Piotrek, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like in display painting, like I think a lot of people have a problem with that. They are just following the sculpt too much, like a little bit too much. So you should look at the references, right?
Yep.
So here we have very, very, very separate hair, even on the top of the head, right? So
very sculpted.
They are sculpted, and the painter is just like following the shadows, and the shadow on top of the head is almost the same as the shadow on the bottom of the hair, right? So it's just like
it's a bit
it
too
should be lighter, and it should be like more like a unified plane rather than a separate hair.
Exactly.
Sorry, go ahead.
In the planes of light, sometimes the shadows will completely disappear, like a halo of light. You see that in manga quite often, right? That they will have like a band of light across the, like a circle around the hair.
Yep.
And also,
I think
the strands. Sorry, Alexi. The strands could be more. More detailed. So if you have like a big volume, which is meant to be a strand, you can still freehand more lines into the hair and make it feel more.
I think that's it, right? Like it's too literal an interpretation of the sculpt with hair, where regardless of how the hair is sculpted, if we want it to look like hair, because that's what it is, and painting those fine lines, even if they go against the planes of the sculpt, will just give more of a sense of that's what material this is.
Exactly. But the colors were really beautiful, really striking.
Yeah,
So,
has a lot of presence, definitely.
well done.
Yeah,
Good
Great
paint.
stuff. All right, this one we liked,
Oh well.
but it could have gone better.
Exactly. So
we still gave it bronze, obviously.
exactly this one bronze as well. This it's like it's been painted by two different painters. On the one hand, you have the dwarf itself, which is amazing. Like you have this tattoo on the back, which is extremely sharp.
Yeah.
This demands a brush control that not many people have. The face is also
Fantastic.
fantastic. You have all the tonal shifts, the interpretation of the volumes in the hair is very nice. But then the canon is so underworked. Like
I wouldn't say it's underwork. I mean, it's just as you said in the beginning, right? It's a completely different model, right? Something is off about the canon, in my opinion.
Yeah, the black is barely painted. It feels. The volumes across the cannon don't match the volumes of the skin as well.
But more importantly, it's the value structure, right? It's very difficult to understand what's the shapes in this thing. So, yeah, the value structure could be.
Here's a good example, right? When we've got the light coming from this direction, these planes that are catching the light much more than this narrow band. These two narrow bands here would be highlighted. These are too narrow and they don't quite make sense compared to the way that the volumes of the skin have been painted.
Yeah, it feels like there's too much bright spots in too many places, and the structure itself is not quite properly interpreted.
Yeah, like I'm not surprised that blue part of the canon is standing out in terms of painting, because it's so complicated.
It's difficult shapes.
Yes, it's really easy to get lost with non-metallic metal. I think it might be, it might look better if it would be painted with true metallics.
True metallics, yeah.
It would help
Yeah.
a lot, definitely.
And then another example of, as we've sort of talked about a couple times, some of these lines on the muscles, and if you turn it around, it's more apparent here.
Yeah.
These lines of shadow are way too dark.
100%. Like, yeah, exactly. These harsh lines you wouldn't find in an anatomy.
Yeah.
No matter how it is sculpted. Even if it's sculpted like this, then your job as a painter is to
Correct the sculpt.
correct the
Yeah.
sculpt to the benefit of the final product.
Yeah,
right?
Can't always
that's a
be ultra literal.
Similar thing to the hair from
Exactly.
the previous model, right?
Yeah.
You-
Exactly. You
Too
have
literal.
a canvas that then you shoot outer as a
Yeah.
painter.
Sometimes because like you don't have to believe the sculptor that
Yeah.
he is like 100% anatomically correct. So sometimes you have to correct the sculptor, right? Your job is to make the model looks as best as possible. So sometimes just you can change the shapes of the model because with your paint job,
Yep.
right?
And this is even though we've been a bit critical, this is a great, like the high points of this model are very high.
Yeah.
And if they can
face
lift
is
the
really
rest of the model to the same level as some of the high points on this, it will do even better. So they're on the right path. It's just getting some of those weak points addressed, and again, things will be going better and better and better.
Sure.
Great model.
That
Okay,
was
so now
last of the bronzes.
look at some
and we are
silvers.
moving
Where
to
do we want to
silver.
start? Do we want to go little? Do we want to go big?
Silver, I think silver was the toughest.
It was
category.
really tough because there's models here in silver that could have been gold on a different day.
Yeah.
So how about we start with this guy? We talked about it a lot. All of these models we had very long conversations about. Between the line between silver and gold here was definitely very tough with a lot of pieces. So, I mean, we can kick off by saying like the dominant sort of angle of this model is incredibly strong. Really tasteful color composition.
Well textured.
Really well textured.
Especially
Incredible
especially
on the horse fur.
on the horse fur, because it's such short brush strokes, right? To
Perfectly to scale with
perfectly
the
to
model.
scale with the model.
Yes.
Yep.
Especially visible on all this part, it's really well done.
Yep.
The colors are super harmonious as well.
Yep.
All across the board. I think the cape was perhaps where we thought it was a bit more problematic, especially in terms of finish, right? Because contrast by finish is one tool that we can use, right? You can have satin parts, you can have glossy parts, you can have ultra matte parts, but the finish should correspond to what material you're representing. And in this case, the cape is quite glossy when it's meant to be fur, right? So there's kind of a mismatch between the actual finish and what it means to portray.
Even if it's not done on purpose, I think the painter should judge his or her work at the very end and see if this kind of finish would help to read his work.
Yeah, this would have benefited a lot from another pass where they went through and matted and glossed and satined different areas of the model in a more intentional manner. The contrast between finish, as Albert said, something that was nice in some areas of this model, but then other areas just looked like the paint had gone glossy or satin and they had left it rather than treated it at the end to have a more intentional finish across the model. Another thing was, again, some slightly too harsh lines into shadow in the focal point, around the abs especially.
That's a very common
little bit
thing,
extreme.
I think.
100%. The face is really nice though, especially on this side. It feels, it's very, very well interpreted.
I had a few problems with the shadow side. There's a sort of bounce light hitting the other side, which I think is a bit inconsistently painted across the model. There's some areas that are catching maybe more light than they should have or less light than they should have. Still adds a nice amount of interest to shadow, and this is something we'll talk about in another model, but you always have to do something with the shadow, especially when you're getting to the silver and gold area in Masters. And they've done a fair bit with the shadow, but it's not quite right in every area.
Yeah.
But still, the high point of this model was very, very high.
It's a really complicated model. It's
very
dynamic, so
it's very three-dimensional.
Yeah,
right?
Congratulations, about putting the focal point and the focal view
in the right spots.
Yeah, right spots. So
a notoriously difficult model to paint, but very well done. How about we talk about this big boy then?
Yeah.
In terms of some inconsistencies across the model as well, but also a really great piece with some really great high points. Again, a really strong focal point around the face and chest. And
I think that was the model that is showing the way how to paint hair way better. So in comparison to the previous models, and that was something that could be improved. Here it's really well done.
A great example.
The smooth gradient on the hair, it makes it much more believable.
Exactly.
Right?
It's going from big picture to small picture, right? So you interpret the overall shapes of the hair first, and then you can detail a little bit the different strands. But if you go detailed from the start, then you end up with spaghetti hair, as I like to call it, where the shadows in the planes of light are too harsh, and then it feels like the overall volumes lack a consistent interpretation of the volumes. But the anatomy is very well approached. This is a fully sculpted piece.
Sculpted by the painter.
Sculpted by the painter, exactly. So this is fantastic. The tree is a bit flat in lots of areas. It's painted, it's almost left completely
dark
underwork. But overall, it's quite impressive.
So I think
it's a huge piece. So
exactly. I think this piece is bigger than it needs to be. So if this same piece, instead of, because this is 120 mil or something.
Yeah.
If it had been done in 75.
Painted to the same quality.
It would
be that bit stronger.
have been a bit better.
Yeah.
I think as well, again, a really strong focal point, and as you go further out from the focal point, toward that periphery of the model, you can obviously render those parts less because you don't want them to steal too much attention. But we've got areas that look almost completely untouched, so that some of these areas along the base that are kind of look like they might have been maybe just airbrushed a dark color and left. Same as sort of the back of the tree. And so even though you don't want the periphery of the model to steal attention, you still want to have it painted. It still needs to have information that you're conveying to the audience. But a really nice piece.
Especially the tattoo work is also fantastic.
Really sharp lines.
Very sharp lines. The non-metallic is perhaps especially on the bracelet. Maybe on camera it looks quite nice, but in the flesh it feels like it could be a bit, yeah.
The highlights maybe could have shifted in position a tiny bit.
Especially on the side, yeah, it feels a bit not flat, but the tones in the mid, actually the mid tones are not, or I suppose you need darker shadows to have that truly metallic feel to it. But yeah, overall quite impressive piece, and
yeah, really good finish on the model as well, like a really nice looking finish.
Definitely.
I think maybe we should move to the comparison. Like, on the contrary, to the very small one. Yes.
This guy? Yeah, let's go from big
to
small.
small.
From big to tiny. Yeah. So.
A great piece.
It arrived last minute.
Yeah.
And
one of the best 32 or what is it,
32?
25 millimeter,
it might
25
be
mil
scale.
piece or something. Lord of the Rings model.
Yeah, it's incredibly small.
Incredibly tiny.
Yeah,
and
but it's
really good.
Yes.
Fantastic, like color variation in all the stonework.
Exactly, the stonework
really
is really nice. The Hobbit itself is sharp, super sharp. Perhaps on the sword, the painter could have painted some brighter highlights on the blade itself to have it more. What is it? Have it stand out a bit more, because it's quite dark, and it feels like the sword gets a bit lost when it should be, part of
area
the
of
focus.
interest, right?
An
Yeah,
area of
yeah.
interest, exactly.
I really enjoy pieces that are like 100% finished, right? And this one, you couldn't find a place
let's
that
have a
is
look at the back.
lower
Well done.
quality than the whole piece, right? Other than, like we talked about that previously, the big guy, the tree, it was flat, right?
Yep.
Some parts of the previous work, they were just like a little bit too dark. Here, like you don't have that kind of feeling. Like even it's darker from the back.
But even the beams of they still feel like they have been worked.
Yep.
Maybe it's hard to see on camera.
But that's the thing,
but
right?
yeah, it's a labor of love.
Yeah.
Quite.
I think you can have, the back of the model would be in dark, and it's just literally a flat wall, but they've still given it equal attention even if it's darker.
The cape of the Hobbit is painted.
Yeah,
For sure.
exactly.
You can see it when it's done like that.
Attention was paid to everything. It was we liked this one a lot.
Yes.
Very, very good. Hard to say
great
much
figure.
bad about it. All right, shall we talk about
Maybe
this guy?
Yeah.
Very creative piece.
And it was for a long time. It was in between.
In between all kinds of levels, right?
Yes. Actually, we were moving.
We talked about it
a
from
couple
gold,
of
silver,
times.
bronze. We were a bit unsure where to place it at different points.
Yeah. The modeling work on the cage of the butterfly cage
Fantastic.
Yes.
is amazing.
super good.
It's made with some plant, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a
Dried out
dried
seed.
seed. I don't know if it's like clearly visible on the camera, but the butterflies are inside the cage.
The cage.
They're inside the cage.
Yeah.
They're very small and very well painted. Actually, the butterflies themselves, they will have patterns.
Yep. The brushwork is really tight across the entire piece.
Yeah.
Very clean.
Maybe Albert will tell his opinion, because he was like.
You had a few problems.
Yeah, I feel like there's
things that can be improved. Actually,
exactly
right?
volumes could be pushed a bit more. The yellow on the well, what is this called? This
The whatever it is.
this sort
The
of thing.
hood.
The hood.
The hoodie is quite flat when you see it in hand. So some deeper shadows, for example, down here on the.
It's about the same brightness in the
Yes.
neck as it is
Exactly.
on the
like
planes of light.
All of these parts are quite pretty much the same tone as up here. So it feels quite flat. Same thing with the arms. The arms are barely interpreted in terms of
Volumes.
volumes. It's very flat. But yeah, here we wanted to reward the
creativity,
creative work of
presentation.
presentation as well. The face is really nice.
We all agree with Albert's opinion about the
volumetry.
The volumetry, yes, and about the things that this piece is lacking. But we couldn't, go, around this piece unnoticed.
Not rewarded.
Not rewarded. Yeah, it's like it's full of things that are beautiful.
I think also
really, really well
you
done.
can see the painter has the understanding and the ability to interpret all these volumes in the face, right? Which has really great drops off into shadow. Like it looks fantastic. They just haven't applied it across other parts of the model.
Exactly.
The same drops into shadow and the same
Some places could be pushed a bit more, like the ears could be a bit lighter in value to hint at that transparency of ears when you're outside. The transition from the nose into the forehead is a bit too sudden, as in the nose is completely yellow, and then the forehead is a cream color, whereas some more transition in terms of tone at the around here.
I think that's a slight, personally, at least a slight detriment to the color composition is the yellow is very overwhelming, and I think actually like the tonality of the regular skin on the face would be more interesting to see on the nose than necessarily the yellow, because there's already a lot of yellow on the piece. But still really, really nice, and especially like the brushwork on the textures across the rest of the model was really fun to look at. Really good stuff. Thank you. Now let's treat ourselves to some fine art style.
And here we have a very painterly style bust. Nothing is blended here, so obviously we evaluated this from the perspective of what the artist was trying to achieve here. So obviously, if we judge this under the presumption that this, was meant to be the most blended or clean or whatever you want to call it piece, then this would have won nothing perhaps. But when we dissociate the finish, the rendering, and we see how the volumes are interpreted and how the light impacts on these volumes and so on, this is clearly a very well painted model.
Yeah, I think like when you're watching it right now on your screens, I think it looks fabulous.
It's a really beautiful piece.
Yeah. You can see like the light is hitting where it should be, the colors are there, so everything is playing really, really well.
And that can be like in a lot of ways on a piece like this, which isn't blended, much harder, because on a piece that's very blended, when your volume interpretations aren't correct, they're kind of easier on your eye because you can just appreciate how nice a blend is. You can say, that's really nice and smooth. On a piece like this where there's no blending, if there's a highlight out of place, it jumps right out into your face and it kind of ruins the effect of the whole piece. So you have to be really tight with your interpretation.
Exactly. Also the black leather, the reflections in the black leather dress are also
a lot of color in them.
Yeah, very striking.
Yep. A really cool piece. Thank you. All right. Shall we start with our...
let's move on to some golds here.
Problematic gold that there has ever existed, and then we'll talk about some of the other golds.
And here we have
a great piece.
A really lovely piece that almost got itself out of gold.
Yeah. It was a huge discussion about this piece.
Yep.
I mean, maybe not a huge discussion. Like we all agree.
We all loved it.
One. Yeah, we can see what's going on with this piece, right?
Incredibly strong focal zone. Incredibly strong.
Yeah, it will be zero discussion gold.
So exactly. In terms of volume interpretation, tonal variations, everything is done amazingly.
The textures on the skin are amazing.
The veins on
the
head.
subtlety of the shadows in the planes of light are great. There's texture going on. Yep. But then we come to this side and we have like a quarter of the model which is not painted at all. This is flat black completely.
And it's even like it's a little bit painted on the ear, on the back of the head, but the armor is just like completely.
It's kind of just dark, so and that's it.
It's missing like 2 minutes of painting.
Yeah,
actually, right? It doesn't have to be
exactly.
Like so
exactly.
Even the horn, well, whatever the tooth in here is also like completely.
I mean, it's
unpainted.
still got gold, right?
It's still got gold, of
but the
course.
2 minute could decide about having gold or having silver.
The 2 minutes extra work around here would have avoided 15 minutes of
Because
discussion.
it was again, the high point of this model is incredibly high. We've talked a bit previously about how it's very easy when painting any kind of anatomy, any kind of skin, to drop into shadow way too quick and way too harshly. But when you look at the wrinkles on the forehead and around the face, you can see the clear definition between all the little micro volumes on the face, but none of them have these really, really harsh out of place line work that is just jarring and kind of makes it not look like skin anymore.
Exactly. Perhaps the bounce lights could have been reinforced a little more around this area, but overall a very strong piece.
Yeah, really, really nice. Very nicely done. All right, let's talk about this one. Same kind of style of academic bust.
This one is very, very tasteful.
I hope it looks good on your screens because like
it's beautiful.
As I'm looking on the camera, it looks a little bit white. It's not that white as on the screen actually.
Exactly.
That's the whole point.
There's a huge amount of variation.
Exactly.
In color.
In hand, you have all these different shades of white that make it, all the elements are very readable, while at the same time being very harmonious. So you have the white bird, the white hair, and the whitish skin. But in the hand, they all work very, very nicely. And obviously, in terms of volume interpretation, the arm in shadow on this side is also spot on.
Amazing piece.
It's just beautiful.
The colors used here are like really, really tricky to paint. So you have to keep in mind
this
that
much light white, this smooth, and with this much
and
variety.
It's the subtlety of it all, right? You have this cheek with some turquoise, this other cheek with some green and orange. There's all these different shifts in hue.
There's like a whole rainbow of color in the drops into shadow on the hair as well. Really, really beautifully done. There's sort of one of those ones where it feels like no element has been left without like painting it to the max, trying to figure out how much you can do, how much information you can put in, how much variety.
Exactly. And here we see how the hair has been also painted with a lot of detail, additionally to the sculpted detail. Making for a very, very beautiful piece.
Yep. One of our favorites. Good stuff.
Thank you.
What do we reckon? Do we do Seb?
3 more to go.
The little guy.
Whichever. Let's have that last.
Yep. So let's go to Seb then.
Another gold.
Another model sculpted by the painter?
Yeah, I really, really like this one. I mean, for me, it's always like the painting a bust. It's not only about just painting, but the whole idea. So you can create the base around the bust, even if it's not the full figure. Like here it was done really, really well. The whole piece tells a story, and even the base, the branches.
Presentation.
It's not like it's not perfectly painted. You feel that it's the right place for those parts. Like
a great sense of atmosphere.
Exactly, with one light a warmer side and then a colder side on here. The finishes, again, going back to what we were discussing about painting the appropriate finish to the appropriate material, you have this magical ball in a very glossy sort of finish. The skin is a lot more satin, as it should, whereas the cloth is very matte. So this is a perfect combination of all these different finishes. The tones in the face are unbelievable. You have reds, you have oranges, you have greens. The eyes have so much character to them. The way how the model is, what is it?
Composed?
No, well, yeah.
Attached to the base?
Attached to the base is also very cleverly done, and then you have all these additional details like the
feathers,
echidna, like the animal here,
and
so on and so forth.
So really, I've seen a lot of people discuss before, like using natural materials in bases versus sculpted or printed materials. It's a good example, I think, of how to use natural materials really well.
It's always you have to keep in mind the scale, right? Sometimes using natural materials would fit the scale, and adding them won't make it artificial.
Yep. I think also like the fact that it's a traditionally hand sculpted model, and then we've got the natural materials on the base, but then we have natural materials around the head, kind of harmonized.
Exactly, on the nest.
There's real little tiny flowers. There's like a lot of little skunge in the dried bird poo on the back. Yeah. If you look at the bird poo, it looks real nice and gross, crusty. That's good stuff.
Exactly how you want your bird poo.
Exactly.
Just hardened and crusted, baked in the Australian sun.
There's a few little things that we had a couple of issues with. The bird could have been a bit more rendered.
Exactly.
Yeah, the blue and the big one.
Especially all this area here, like the head and the red things in here, feel a bit underworked when we compare them to the face of the old lady. But overall, beautiful textures everywhere on the animal as well as on the cloth.
I think we couldn't give it lower than gold. So
very clear gold. Well done.
Lovely piece. Now let's talk about our favorite Warhammer piece of the competition.
Now representing small scale in the gold tier of winners is this vampire. The red is incredibly striking in hand.
Amazing.
It just couldn't be any redder than this. It's absolutely
means you'll never miss it
I
on
think
the cabinets, on the
it's
shelves.
even the red. It has to be mixed with some sort of fluo paint. It is like in person. It just looks
so
like,
striking.
Yeah.
And the way how the red interacts with on the armor, right? You have all these very well placed reflections. The face is unbelievable. It's so small and so characterful, with greens again and magentas and turquoises. It's fantastic. Perhaps the interpretation of the shoulder pads is what we weren't quite sure about.
Yep.
Yes.
We felt like
our biggest problem with the whole piece.
The planes on the non-metallic weren't quite.
They were not that bad
properly
to push it into a silver, but at the same time they stand out, right?
Yeah.
It's a big piece, both of the shoulder pad close to the face, which is painted like extremely well, and the shoulder pads are just like a little bit not the same quality.
Detracted a little. And I think a good example as well of how to do like a pale face, right? Like as a vampire, they're bloodless pale, but still get like a lot of subtlety and a lot of color in such a small space.
Exactly. And then there's also the different blacks, right? You have the more bluish sort of black, maybe colder, and then the warmer hair.
The subtlety of the base with the
zombie.
Exactly,
the zombie coming out from the base, but it's done in such a tasteful way because it doesn't take away the attention from, like you barely see it, right? When the eye goes directly onto the lady here, whereas sometimes placing too big elements on the base can take the attention away.
Also, like very small details like the blood dripping.
Dripping onto the ground.
Exactly.
Yeah, very tasteful piece. Very nice.
Yes.
So
my brain can't comprehend.
It's such a small piece as well, like when you compare it to some of the other stuff on the shelf, and to have like the amount of presence it has on such a cluttered field.
And also the red inside on the loincloth is colder than the red on the cape. It's hard to tell on camera, but it's just this.
It's like a slight
it's so subtly different, but yeah, it looks amazing.
It's great talk from the master of subtlety himself.
You.
And then let's talk about this big boy.
And then we have
our last gold
an
of the day
absolute masterpiece. And a high elf, of course, 3D sculpted.
Nice base, also 3D sculpted.
Nice base, 3D sculpted as well. The technique is just unbelievable. When you see it in hand, it's
very self-evident gold. Couldn't be anything else.
Exactly. The face is incredible as well. It's perhaps hard to see again. But it's hidden in the helmet, but despite that, well, let's see if I can focus. The gaze has been painted really, really well. The volumes are obviously fantastically interpreted. The scale work, where you have some of them you know, in completely in shadow. Others like almost pure white. The metallic feel to it is really well achieved.
Painting every single scale
yes,
like that must have been a nightmare.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. Like, I mean, you clearly see the hours, you know?
I mean, look at this this piece of paper on the base, and the fine line work on there. That's that's what we call good stuff.
The scroll in here.
Yeah, even the details that the paper is catching the fire, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, the paper's on fire.
Good examples of how to do your shadow side in metallics and not be boring as well.
Exactly. I mean, it's just very, very striking when you see this in hand, like how perfect every single brush stroke is.
Yep.
So yeah, perhaps the clearest of
one of the most easy golds to choose. Didn't really need to talk. We barely even spoke about it. Really, this is the most we've spoken about it all day.
Yeah. Amazing work.
Yeah, what's more to tell about it? Like it barely looks painted.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yes.
All right, that's us.
Well, thank you for all of your work, and thank you to everyone who's been watching. We will be back tomorrow, and thank you. Cheers.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
All right, more judging to do.
Stream, whatever.
Let's.
So if you guys want to take a break, we've got heaps of time. You want to go to the bathroom?